All right. Good morning, everyone. I'm Marcus Weldon.
And I'm Phil Reid, and this is the Directors.
Directors Cut on Trade. Oh, no, we got that messed up already.
One more time. Right.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Marcus Weldon.
And I'm Phil Reid, and this is the Directors
Cut on Trade.
We'll go with that. This is the Directors Cut on Trade.
There we go.
Very
special guest. Welcome to the Directors Cut on Trade podcast. Deena, how are you?
I am doing well. How are you?
Doing good. It's a Sunday morning. You know, we are all here. We're excited. Yesterday, I actually had the graduation for Project Noah for Redeem Detroit, which was 12 young ladies. So I'm riding off of that energy right now, which is actually a topic that I want to talk to you about. But yeah, I mean, I'm good. How you doing, Phil? How's everybody on your end?
Everything's great on my end. I actually wanted to go there for that graduation, but yesterday was the birthday celebration for my daughter, and so we were taking care of family activities. But glad to hear that everything went well. So that's a good thing.
It went amazing. I got some great photos and pictures, and can't wait to share them.
So that ties in very well, though, with our guest, Deena Neely of Detroit Voltage, African-American woman, owning and running her own company here in the city of Detroit, doing a lot of electrical work for needs in residential and commercial homes. Welcome, Deena. Can you? Thank you. Can you give us a little of your history, a little background story of kind of how you came to be the Deena that everyone knows today?
Sure, I'll try to give you the short version. But yeah, my name is Deena Neely. And my journey kind of started when I was 18. I worked in buildings and safety department for the city of Detroit. I worked in that department for over a decade. I had no idea that it would be the fertile training ground that it was for me. So I worked with inspectors, city officials, and around contractors daily. And so I did that for over a decade. So of course I built some very solid, meaningful relationships while working in the department. And like 9 years into that, I ended up meeting my husband at the time, who was an electrician and a contractor himself. So we met, fell in love quickly, had 2 babies. I'm trying to fast forward. We met, fell in love quickly. We had 2 babies, and like childcare was crazy expensive. And so we made the decision for me to be a stay-at-home mom, raise the children, and also help grow his business. And so I did that for about another 9 years, leveraging the relationships that I had garnered from working for buildings and safety, right? Because it's that like and know factor. Like everybody knew me, and then they trusted me, and then they so in turn trusted my husband at the time. And so after kind of doing that for, like I said, about 9 years, I started to research federal contracting. Mm-hmm. And I saw that a woman-owned company, a Black woman-owned company specifically, really wouldn't have much competition in that space. And so my thought was, if I started the company, that I would win federal contracts and then subcontract them to my husband. And so we kind of talked about that. He thought it was a great idea. And so I studied, and then I also noticed all of the new construction that was happening. And it was like this whole resurgence in the city of Detroit. Like investors were coming in from everywhere.
And about what year was this, Deena?
This was in 2016.
Okay.
This was in 2016. So, there were, like I said, people were coming from all over buying up this property, and they just needed people to fix everything up. And I had a lot of word of mouth referrals because I worked for the city of Detroit and they knew us, and they knew that he was great at what he did, and they knew me. So it was like this trust thing. Anyway, So we were knocking those out. And then, like I said, I started to study about federal contracting. And so we kind of talked about that. So I ended up studying and testing, and I got my contractor's license. I started Detroit Voltage. And 3 months later, he left. And when he ended up leaving, it had nothing to do with the business or anything like that. The business really didn't even start operating. So now I was like, okay, what do I do? I have this new business. I have not worked a 9 to 5 in almost a decade at this point. And I have 2 children, and now I'm a single mom. Broke. Right. So like, what do I do? How do I do this? And so I, through a lot of prayer, I'm gonna tell you, I did a lot of praying and crying and like, Lord, what do I do? Like, and he's like, I gave you this business, make it work. You have everything you need. And so I ended up, my strategy was like, okay, well, I have the licensing and I have everything I need as far as operating. Now I need the team. And working in buildings and safety, like I said, was great for me because not only did I already have great relationships with electricians, like I knew the quality of their work. Because I saw on the back end, like, what was going on through working for the department. So all of the electricians that I reached out to, they were more than happy to work with me. In fact, they were excited about it. And so then I was like, okay, now how do I find customers? And so thinking through like who my target audience would be, my thought was, okay, since we have these investors and they're coming in from all over, the investors will be my target audience. And so I started to go where investors were, which was a lot of different meetups, investment clubs, and things of that nature. And I would just go consistently, like sometimes 4 or 5 times a week, until finally they were like, you're the electrical lady, right? And they gave me a chance. And from the moment I got that chance, like my phone literally never stopped ringing. I went from 0 to 6 figures in 6 months. In the first 6 months of operating. And it's just been an amazing journey since then. Like I said, we do residential and commercial, electrical installation, repair, remodeling, and renovation services. We also install EV charging stations, and we're a national distributor of LED lighting. And so, yeah, that's just a little bit about how I started and, a little bit of the services that we provide right now.
So, I mean, let me first just say that's an inspiring story. You step away from your job that you had of a decade to take care of the family, help build your husband's business, and then right as you were getting things started so that you could get these federal contracts, then boom, things didn't work out. Your husband steps away, and here you are. Like you said, you were spending many nights just thinking, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And then it hit you. You know what I'm saying? God told you have everything that you need. You got the contractor's license. You got the business. Just go make it work. And so you did the research. You said, who is going to be my audience? I'm going to, just a quick recap here. I'm going to go, everything is resurging here. So I'm going to hit these investors. And then you invested that time going out to meet them. And then everything took off. I mean, you make it sound so simple, but I guess it really was that simple. You just had to focus in and really get out there and meet the people. And now look at it. Everything is booming for you. So that's a great story. Thank you.
Thank you. And I won't say that it was simple, but I will say that it took an act of obedience and faith.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot of things that no one could have ever told me it would have happened the way that it happened. Like I have so many stories along the way about how I have been blessed to participate in pitch competitions. Like I pitched in my second year of business. I participated in a pitch competition with DTE Energy, And I really didn't want to do it because I had never pitched before. I didn't know what to say. I didn't really feel comfortable standing in front of an audience, like all of the things that I didn't want to do. I was like, I just don't want to do this. And my mentor was like, oh, you're going to pitch. And he like really kind of like forced me into pitching, so much so that not just for myself, but for the other participants as well, he hired a pitch coach. And so I ended up pitching and winning first place. But I had no idea that when I pitched, that the CEO or CO, I think it was CEO or CO, please forgive me, I can't remember which one it was. He was in the audience though. And when he came up to present me with the check that was supposed to be $500, he ended up giving me $5,000. He's like, add another zero on that check. Like, I love what you're doing. You know, he just gave me all of these praises. And so I think that was another thing that kind of sparked something in me. I was like, okay, I really have something here. I can really make a difference within my community. I'm serving the underserved city of Detroit because I found that, well, I still find that when new customers find us, they, you know, immediately ask, do you serve the city of Detroit? Knowing that my business is in the city of Detroit, but there's so many contractors that refuse to serve the residents of the city of Detroit. And I'm like, look, I was born and raised in the city of Detroit, red zone specifically, the east side of Detroit.
East
And
side,
My wife would
right,
say,
right,
east side.
east
right,
side. Yeah.
right. And it is an honor to serve my people. You know what I mean? And even if I have to be more flexible with them or whatever, I feel like we deserve the same services that everyone else does.
Absolutely.
And just because you feel
Absolutely.
slightly intimidated, that doesn't mean you should turn people down. And it's like they deserve to have working lights and power and all the things. And so that really was something that I was focused on. So anyway, I won that first pitch competition. I won $5,000. And then 3 weeks later, I ended up in New Orleans at Essence Festival, which was my first time ever going there. And I saw an opportunity to pitch again, but this time it was like thousands of women that I was competing against, like thousands. It was so many people there. And so I had to do a video pitch. And then I found out that I made it to the final round. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe that I made it against all of these women. And so I ended up coming back to pitch for the CEO of Essence and all of these C-suite execs and a live audience, all these celebrities. It was like everybody there. And long story short, I ended up winning again. And so I won $15,000 in 3 weeks pitching. And so I'm like, okay, this is another thing that business owners are not doing. They're not putting themselves out there. They're not doing the thing that makes them uncomfortable to
Yes.
get to another level so they can put that cash into their business to grow. And it's like, okay, this is something else that I could teach people. So anyway, that's just, I just want to share that because I think that is a piece, a component that business owners they don't utilize, they don't even pursue it. And it's like, it's money that's free and it's money that they're not asking you to give them any information about. It's just a gift to you. It's a grant to you. So yeah.
And the one thing that I hear through everything you just said is you're very resourceful, first of all. And you know
Thank
how
you.
to create and value those relationships that you have made along the way. And, you know, through the city of Detroit, you made relationships, you know, through your travels, you made relationships, and through these networking events, you made relationships, and relationships is currency, you know, and you've been very resourceful in making these relationships work for you. And that's something that's, when you talk about being uncomfortable, that's one of the biggest fears. You know, public speaking is one for all humanity, right? And then like actually putting yourself out there and making relationships and talking to people, because people are afraid to be rejected. Like, I mean, it's just, you know, if you got a business and you put it out there and someone says, you know, I'm not interested, you know, it's like the network marketing companies, you know, you get about 100 no's and you get that one yes, right? But you got to get to those 100 no's first. And you got to actually get rejected first, you know? So I mean, I applaud that. That's a very good story. Very, very inspiring.
Thank you. And I will say, just kind of piggyback off of what you just said, like your network truly is your net worth. I've gotten to the point where like I know people from all over the world, like, people in the UK, people in India. I participated in so many different programs, and people always ask, why are you doing all these programs? Because, for the most part, a lot of them are the same, like you get the same information over and over again, but it's not the information, it's the people, it's the network, it's the access, right? People do business with who they like, know, and trust. That's just what it is.
Absolutely.
And when you're able to build meaningful relationships with people, they'll offer you things that you don't even do because they trust you. And so they'll be like, well, can you put together a team? I know you don't do this, but can you,
Right.
put me together a team and just do it under your business? Like, because I want to work with you because I trust you. You know what I mean? And so stepping outside of your comfort zone and building relationships by any means necessary. I mean authentic, organic relationships, not the fake ones, because people can see through that, right? They see when you're trying to use them or manipulate them. I mean, really building meaningful relationships with people is, that's just where it is. I mean, that's what led me to working with Google. So I'm a Google partner as well. And that's another story in itself. But I ended up being thrown into a hat for a program that Google was looking for small businesses in construction to help create a digital footprint. So by nature, I research things and I implement. I'm not just a researcher. I research and implement. And I think that's another thing people don't do. They research and then they get stuck. It's like that analysis paralysis kicked in and they're like, now I know all of this stuff, but I don't know how to do, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So I research and implement. But anyway, so most of the things that Google talked about, I kind of knew and I had already established for myself. But it was a whole process where they were looking for small businesses in construction to help create a digital footprint. So I had to interview for it. And they ended up selecting me. I think I was like the only one in the area that they selected, and they flew in from their headquarters. They came in and they interviewed me and they created this whole digital strategy for me. And we were slated to meet for 6 weeks. I would still say I can call them anytime. It doesn't matter what my issue is. And I have them to assist me with it, whether it's ads or my business listing, anything Google related. But anyway, I ended up getting accepted into this program. And that right there was life-changing for me. Do you hear me? Life-changing. When you understand how to utilize digital products to help grow your business, it doesn't matter what business you have, you will be able to find your right customers. As long as you know who they are, you'll be able to target them. And so I ended up going through that program, and I went from like my revenue literally doubled. So I had they taught me how to run Google ads. So my $100 ad credit that they gave me, I was very skeptical about Google ads because I only heard horrible things about it. It was a money pit. But if you don't know what you're doing, yeah, it will be a money pit. But they taught me how to run Google ads, how to track my analytics, all of that. So my $100 I generated $20,000 off of $100 per month.
Off the free $100.
$100. I generated $20,000.
Wow.
And so the next month, $100, I generated $30,000 that month. The next month, $40,000. So then I had to turn it off because I'm like, I only have
you got to be able to keep up. Right.
I only have so much capacity. Like I can't. But being able to leverage that and understand how to utilize that to grow the business, it was like drinking from a fire hydrant. I'm like, okay, what do I do here? But anyway, they ended up, because I'm considered a success story to them, because I was able to learn what they taught me, implement it, and use those things to grow my business. I'm actually on their website right now. They flew me to LA to sit down with the CEO of Google at the Summit of Americas, where it was globally televised. So, my business has been blessed, but I always make sure that I give back as much as I possibly can. And that I also share with as many youth and young women as I possibly can. I want them involved. We need them involved. I don't do
Absolutely.
the work, right? I don't do the work, which makes it even more important for me to have skilled, talented people that are great with their hands, that want to do the work, that know how to do the work, that can create generational wealth for their families. If I can generate 6 figures in my first 6 months and I'm not doing the actual work, imagine what someone with the skill set can actually do and how it can change their lives if they understand how to do it. You know what I mean? And it's like, wow, to me. I get so excited about teaching and sharing as much as I possibly can, but there is only one me. So it's only so much that I could do. But yeah.
That's amazing. Well, I gotta bring back up the Project Noah because it's ironic that we're on this topic about women in the trade. And last night we had our second cohort of students graduate. And for our listeners, Redeem Detroit, Redeem Detroit was started, I think we're on our 12th year now, by my pastor. Project Noah was kind of a project where we said, okay, my pastor was the vice president of Pathways Academy, and he wanted to bring the children from Pathways Academy, which were teen moms. It's kind of like an alternative school where they had kids at a very young age, and people had pretty much written them off. Society had written them off, and they got an opportunity to graduate from Pathways and then be pipelined to Project Noah and learn a skilled trade. And that's my lane. And I'm a product of the skilled trade. So when I talked to my pastor, I said, look, let me teach and let me help, let me do what we need to do. And I brought all my resources in and got trained, which was a partner of mine I was working with a couple of projects in Macomb at the time to help fund it. And then we ended up getting funding. And so these girls literally are coming in to this program, Project Noah, and they're like, okay, I know nothing about the trades, nothing at all. Like I don't even, the basic tools, I don't know. And we're bringing in not only different, electricians, but we're bringing in engineers, we're bringing in people all over the field to talk to them and also show them how to do different things. And one of the programs that we had this year that was a success was a carpentry program. And they built this incredible tool shed that had all this, they can store all their tools in because we had all these tools that were donated to us, but they're like laying in closets and just all over the place, right? So we said, okay, let's build this tool shed. So they built the tool shed, and they were so excited once they built it because they seen something they completed. And at the end of the class, talking to them, they said, I can do this. I can actually see myself being in this trade. And to your point, I told them, I said, it's not just the actual hands-on portion, right? You could own your own business. You can get your contractor license. You can hire these different skilled tradesmen and women to work up under you. And you can be more of a project manager, and you can be more of the business owner. So your story, I think, would be great to relate to these girls, and they can actually see. One thing about me, it was evident that me being a man, it was hard for me to really like kind of relate to certain situations that they were having. And I said to myself, I said, look, we need a Black woman to come speak to them. Which dun. Guess what? I know you ended up running into my pastor on like another end, and you talked to him, and then you started to see like, wait a minute, we're all connected, and he was inviting you over. So we definitely get you over there for sure.
Yeah, it's on my list of things to do, no doubt. I was telling your pastor, I'm like, look, with the infrastructure bill that was recently passed, this is the greatest wealth transfer we'll see in our day, period. And if we can get young Black women and men in a position to take advantage of this now, like they'll change not only their lives, but their children's lives and their children's lives through this wealth transfer that's taking place right now. The infrastructure bill was $1.2 trillion, right? Nationally. And for me, my focus was on that 7.5 billion for the EV infrastructure build out. And it's like, and they have to have a minority business in order to even be able to bid on this stuff. And so, just knowing that and clearly understanding your value proposition will get you not only a seat at the table, but that contract at the end of the day, and so, I was just sharing with him, it's super, super important to get involved now, get yourself established, and take advantage of it. It's now or never. It's now or never.
Now or never.
So,
yep.
Sorry, I was going to say before we got too far away from what you said, you talked about being uncomfortable and having to go up and pitch. And that reminded me of something that my mom taught me a long time ago, which has kind of been how I've lived my life. And it is comfort is the enemy of progress. And I think that quote is assigned to P.T. Barnum. But, when you're comfortable, you're just going to sit in a lane, and it might be a good lane, but at the same time, you're not going to make that progress. And so I think that was very powerful, part of your story when you said, you know what, even though I wasn't comfortable with doing this, I still, took care of, getting a little bit of coaching that I needed and going out. And then it turned out, you won the pitch contest here and you won a pitch contest over thousands of other women. And I think that's something that I just wanted to really highlight right there.
Thank you.
And kudos to you for that. Because my own story, I think, has been me kind of stepping out and saying, you know what, I'm gonna be uncomfortable, but let's see where it goes. And so I can resonate with that well. You kind of talked about the catalyst and what made you start your business. And so I guess I really wanted to give you a chance to do a little bit more advertising, here, because, hopefully we'll have a large audience and maybe it can work out for you. But what all services does Detroit Voltage offer in their main capacity? I know you've said that you've had to step out and handle some projects for others because they trusted you to do so, which is awesome. But what would you say is your main, your forte?
Yeah, so over the past few years, my focus specifically was residential. And my focus was residential for many reasons. One, because like I said, it's an underserved community. No one wanted to serve them. They needed the help, they needed the work, and I was able to provide that. The second thing was the cash flow is absolutely amazing in residential work. And so, when you're going into those projects, you can not only do multiple, like it just was the low hanging fruit, if you will. And when I say residential, I mean, we can totally rewire a gutted home. We can, install a new service, lighting, all of those things we do. And then as far as for commercial, the exact same thing. We do a lot of outdoor lighting. We do like mega churches. I have quite a few contracts with mega churches. Where we do like service maintenance contracts. So if they have any electrical issues, they're calling Detroit Voltage to kind of service them. We also work with, a few energy efficiency companies here in the city, where they have contracts with DTE Energy. And so if they're doing an energy efficiency upgrade and things, some challenges might come up in electrical, then they'll call my company to, repair those. So we're doing a lot of that work. I also have a location in Houston where I have a contract for a $10 million truck stop, which will be starting probably later in the year next year. They hit a few stumbling blocks, but I'm looking at a location in Atlanta, New York, and LA. And so things are busy, just trying to keep things moving.
And I bet you haven't been passing any of that work on to your ex-husband there. So,
but here's the thing, right? So I'm not bitter. I'm not the bitter ex-wife. He's a great electrician And to be honest with you, I would work with him if he didn't mind, if he didn't have an issue with working with me. We have children. At the end of the day, that if he's good, they're good, we're all good. And
Everybody
so
eats. Yeah.
everybody eats. So, and the opportunity is plentiful. Like I tell people all the time, and I now realize this is not the truth for everyone, but I'm like, I have millions of dollars worth of contracts in my inbox. No exaggeration. And it wasn't until this year that I ended up securing a 6-figure line of funding. And prior to that, I really wasn't looking at commercial or federal work because, of course, you got to be able to pay for the materials up front. You want to be able to pay your people in a timely manner. And a lot of those projects might not pay for 30, 60, or even 90 days, or 120 if you're working in the automotive industry. And so, just making sure, like, I do a lot of positioning right before I just jump out there. I do jump sometimes and might not necessarily know exactly how I'm going to do it. And just, it's like a leap of faith. But I make sure that I do have a lot of things in place before I even try to put my toe in certain waters. I just want to make sure, like, this is not a hobby, right? This is not a hobby. What I'm doing is definitely something that will be passed on. My son, he's 15, and one day he just randomly was like, this was just recently happened too. I shared this, that he's just randomly like, Mom, when I become an adult, I'm taking over your business. And I'm thinking he's playing, and he's like, no, I'm serious. And I just start boohoo crying because I've always supported my children and whatever they wanted to do. I'm never the person to say, you're gonna do this. You're gonna take on this, and I think from my children watching and witnessing my sacrifice, my struggle, that it made them respect it even more. And he wants to be a part of that. By his dad being an electrician, he's, learned that skill since he was like 5 years old. And so I think he'll be great at leading a company one day. And I'm just excited that he would even want to do it.
Well, I'd say if he's 15 years old, he's been around from the very beginning. He saw the work and all that you put into it. And so now to see it, everything come to fruition, and be thriving, that's gotta be inspiring to him as well. He's looking up at you and saying, my mama's a boss,
Well, exactly. I wasn't expecting it. To be honest with you, I didn't expect it. And so that's why I was like crying my eyeballs out, like, really, son, you would do that for me? And the other day I was saying something about my business. He's like, Mom, it's our business. I said, you're right, son, it's our business.
Absolutely. How big is your staff?
So I have, in total, it's 6 people working with me right now. I had 11 people working with me last year. And, when that great resignation happened, I think we all felt that. But I have 4 electricians working with me, on and off, depending on what projects we have. 2 that are always working. And we're just growing. And I have a global team. That's another thing for those entrepreneurs that might be listening. Don't be afraid to outsource the things that you can't do, or the things that are too time consuming for you. And, the time that you could be using being a visionary in your business, growing your business, moving it forward, creating more opportunity. You can always outsource tasks such as, interacting with customers and invoicing, estimating, the things to keep things going. You can outsource that stuff. And so I've been able to build a global team as well, by learning to do that. And so, we're growing, slowly but surely, and taking on more territory while we're doing so. So it's been a beautiful, beautiful journey.
So that leads me to my next questions. When we think of electricians and electrical business, we all think about the technical part of the business. But like you said, you're not in the field wiring up the house. That's not your thing. So what skill sets does a young lady need to do what you do as a business owner to run a company? Give me like maybe your top three skill sets that you would need to be that head of the business?
Yeah, I would say before we're thinking, right? They need to stay up on whatever the latest trends are. They need to understand how to market themselves. They need to understand their value proposition so that when people are coming to you and offering you pennies, that you know your worth, right? Because people will try to partner with you. I've had over the past 3 years, 2 people try to buy my business for $1 million. Both of them offered me $1 million. And I turned both down because I clearly understand my value proposition.
Clearly, yes.
And although they were wanting to buy the business, they wanted to see, you can't see my air quotes. They wanted to allow me to remain 51% owner. And it's not that they're allowing me to be 51% owner. They understand the value in having a Black woman-owned electrical contracting firm. You know what I mean? So I think just having those few things in place, being confident, like I do walk into a room with confidence because I understand what I've been able to build. I understand what it took. I think as Philip was saying earlier, like, well, it just sounds so easy. Well, it might sound easy, but it was not easy. It was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that I put into growing the business. And, you know, most businesses fail within the first year.
Right.
We're going on 7 years now. I'm in the 1% of Black woman-owned electrical contracting firms across the nation. And so that speaks a lot to, you know, my ability to have a little bit more of a tougher skin and to understand how to navigate through the business world. Okay, I'll say this too. This is for anybody that's a business owner. They need to understand business. Aside from the skill set, right? And to be able to go out and do the work, you need to understand the business. That means keeping up with your paperwork, filing your taxes, having your financials together, like all the things that creates a business. And I think a lot of contractors are still in hustle mode. But in order to be like taken seriously and having a shot at major contracts, multi-million-dollar contracts, you have to have the business part in order. So be a great businesswoman, understand business in general. And I just believe it'll be successful.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure.
I was going to say, you talked about getting your contractor's license. What would you say to anyone that was aspiring to get their contractor's license? How was that process for you? Because obviously, I know from things that I've dabbled in the past, you know, trying to get a contractor's license, they also talk about keeping your business up and how to build it a little bit. So can you give a little insight into that process?
Yeah, I think, like I said, I didn't realize the fertile training ground from working in buildings and safety. I got to understand the interworkings of that, right? Like what all went into getting your license, what did you need, what code did you need to study, like all of those things that most people really don't understand going into it. I was privy to that information because I had worked in the department for over a decade.
Okay.
So just doing your research, understanding what you need to know in order to succeed. That's it. Like really doing the research and then implementing, research and implement. That's what it's all about at the end of the day. I think once you do that, you can just about be successful in anything, but you can't just sit there with the information and don't do anything with it. Look, we have the World Wide Web at our fingertips.
Right.
This is the technology era. We can go on YouTube University and learn anything we want to learn. I mean, seriously, I say it all the time, but I really, really mean it. I just recently got accepted into the Amazon Black Business Accelerator program. And so I'll have products sold on Amazon. My store will be launching within the next week. And that's something that I definitely sat on. We talk about analysis paralysis. That's something that I've sat on for like 9 years now. I could have been a multimillionaire at this point had I jumped out there and just done it because I understood how to do it. I don't know what it was. That's just something that I just didn't jump into right away. But through this program, which I also would suggest for people to really get involved with if they can. So if you have a business, you should probably have complementary products to go with whatever business you're in. Just think about what people can use to maintain the services that you're providing. You know what I mean?
Right, right, right.
If you have HVAC company and they need to change their filters, you should be selling filters. I own an electrical contracting business. We should be selling light bulbs, switches, all of the things that customers might want, decorative plate covers, switch covers, or whatever, outlet covers. Like, you just need to think outside of the box.
Mm-hmm.
And just go for it. We need to be bold in this time. It's just time.
So from our previous conversations, one of the questions that we were going to ask was, what challenges have you faced being, a Black woman in this in the trades and in business for yourself? And you kind of gave an answer that was great to hear, but I'd like for you to expound upon it a little bit. You said you got a lot more help than you had people really going against you or holding you back and things of that nature. So can you, and you've been doing this the whole time, so I don't want you to repeat too much, but talk about how that made you feel when you were trying to build your business, and just a little bit more of any more specifics that you haven't said as well in terms of the help that you received. Yeah,
I didn't really share this, but initially when I started the business, I definitely dealt with imposter syndrome, right? I said, oh gosh, even though I had done this research and I knew exactly what I was going to do and how I was going to do it, and I knew that it was the right way of operating, like all of that, I still in my mind felt like no one's going to want to get electrical services from a Black woman-owned business. They just don't want it. Like, who would want that? And so even with building out my website, I made sure that it looked nothing like a woman-owned business. I didn't mention that it was a woman-owned business, no photos, no proof, no none of that. And it wasn't until I connected with Google that I decided, they were like, you have to put your picture on the website. People need to know. And that was another one of those turning points for me where revenue doubled in that year, like doubled. I was already making six figures, multiple six figures, and it doubled. And it was by putting myself out there, showing people who I was. And what I didn't realize is that I was hiding from the customers that were looking for me. And so it was like, as soon as I put myself out there, it was like, oh, okay, this is a Black woman-owned business. Where have you been? We want to support you. But dealing with that imposter syndrome, understanding that I'm fully capable, I have exactly what I need to move this thing forward. I'm offering something that people need, very much so customer driven, like all those things. And I can't remember what your exact question was, because I kind of went down a rabbit hole with that. But I thought about just the imposter syndrome and how important it is to understand when it creeps up, and then how to kind of move past that, understanding like, no, I got this. I know what I'm doing. I know what people need, and I know how to provide this service to help them get to where they want to, where they want to be, whatever that is.
Gotcha.
But can you repeat that question, that last part of your question? Because I definitely, like I said, went down the rabbit hole on that. And
No worries. I think you've been great. So
okay.
Sorry if I stepped on you there. I was just saying that, you talked about, I asked earlier about challenges that you may have faced trying to get into the business and grow your business. And you said, and I've gotten more help. So, I mean, you talked about Google, you've talked about your mentor hiring a pitch coach for you. You've talked about these other things. Has there been anything else that, that really stood out to you that was really super impactful and helpful for you to get going, because like you said, there were challenges. There's always going to be challenges, but you have had a great deal of people, you know, helping you out and helping you to build to the point where you are today. And that's also inspiring. So I just didn't know if there's anything else that you wanted to share or to think of.
Yeah, not really. I think my biggest challenge was myself. And that's what made me end up sharing that part about the imposter syndrome. I've had so much support. I have mentors that, well, I call them my unofficial board of advisors. And so I have major electrical contracting company as a mentor. I have automotive suppliers as my mentors that have done millions of dollars. I have, just all type of mentors, because it's great to have um, a well-rounded group of mentors that are in different spaces that can kind of advise you on different levels and on different topics. And so that's
Uh-oh.
I think aspiring business owners or business owners, they should all find a mentor. And I know that everybody's not going to want to do it. And some people might say no, because it is really investment of time. And some people just aren't respectful of your time. Like, time is the only thing that you can't, that's that one thing you can't get back. And so that's why I'm very careful about how I spend my time as well, because it's only me, and I only have so many hours in the day. But yeah, finding great mentors, because I really haven't been met with a whole lot of pushback. I've gotten a lot of people that have been very receptive and helpful to me, that are wanting to see me succeed. And through that, I in turn want to do the same thing for others, right? So I'm opening the door and kicking down the door and creating opportunities for people that can actually do the work, for people that want to start their own businesses and all those things. So no, I really haven't been. And shameless plug here, I'm launching a book at the end of next month, where people can go to my website and get on my wait list. And I'm, super excited about that, because I know that will be very meaningful and helpful as well to those that are wanting to start businesses. And I was recently contacted by the U.S. State Department, and they want me to put together a curriculum. And this is my breaking news to you guys. I don't know when this will be aired, or if I'll already have the courses launched by then. But they want me to teach some entrepreneur courses, and it'll have a global audience of 700,000 sub-Saharan Africans that'll be viewing it, and 500,000 Caribbean people that will be viewing this. And like I said, that'll be launching the end of next month. And so it's just so much opportunity here, not just locally, but globally. So, and my website is www.detroitvoltage.com, or they can go to deenaneely.com to get on the wait list. That's DeaNaneely.com.
Great. I mean, that's amazing
powerful
right there. That's powerful. I mean, that's huge. I don't even want to just say Black Girl Magic, because that takes it past that, you know.
Yeah, I have an audience of over 1 million people.
Yeah, and that ties into, I think, what Marcus was going to dive into next. He's going to ask one more question in regards to mentorship. Marcus, do you have that queued up and ready?
Yeah. Her answers are so well thought out that a lot of the questions that we're going to ask already have been answered. But the importance of mentorship, and you spoke about mentorship, and you said multiple times in the interview that you also had a mentor. I'm not sure if you're comfortable sharing who your mentor is, but if you will, I would love to hear that. And also just the importance of mentorship is across the board for young people in whatever industry.
Yeah. So I'll list my top 2 mentors, because if I have business questions or electrical specific issues, I can reach out to one of these two. So Donald Snyder, he's a serial entrepreneur, so he's on everything. He's a franchisee, and he's just done a little bit of everything. And then Kelvin Squires from Centerline Electric. He's been wonderful. So if ever I have a question about anything business related, because here's the thing, I don't want to waste time making mistakes.
Right,
I mean, I
right.
know some mistakes are unavoidable, and then some mistakes hurt so bad that you'll never ever do it again, right? And so I don't
Right.
think that it's horrible to make a mistake, but if I can avoid making painful, expensive mistakes, I want to avoid them. I don't want to do it. Like, I don't want to have to reinvent the wheel. I want to know, what are you doing? What's working? And how can I implement those things within my business? So, yeah, those are a few of my mentors. And I really do believe that that's a missing component too in our community, because everybody want to get it out the mud.
Right,
They
right.
want to grind. I don't want to grind. I don't want to grind. I want things to flow to me. I don't want to grind to get it. And I think just that grind, because grind is rough, grind is tough, grind is hard. We have grit because we're from Detroit, right? We have grit, but I don't want to grind. I don't want it to be difficult for me if it doesn't have to be.
Well, it's great that you're doing this curriculum in this book too, because, you know, everyone's not going to be able to have access to you as a mentor, right? You're too busy. You know, I know you would love to spread your wings and try to mentor people as many as you can, but with a book, now you have a product that they can get some jewels out of and avoid those potholes that, you know, are along the way. And then the curriculum as well, spell it out for them. So that's going to be great. I'll definitely be getting me a copy.
Great. See, that's why I did that too, because I'm like, it's only one me. What's the best way for me to reach more people? So with the book, we'll also sell a workbook as well. And so people can follow along and like really give a lot of tools and tips that I was actually able to use to grow my business. And I know it works, because not just in construction either, because I've had other friends and family members and colleagues that I've met over the years in different programs that were in different industries. And I was able to give them some solid strategy, and they implemented, and it in turn grew their business. And so I know what I know.
Right.
And I love to share it too. Like, I love to share. I am an open book, but it's only me. Like, I can only have so many meetings. I can only, show up in so many different places. So I'm excited about this book.
Yeah, I plan on grabbing a copy myself. So that is because I aspire to do a few things, a little bit here and there coming up in the future. So I think that's right on time. And so I appreciate you sharing that with us as well.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
So, I mean,
yeah, I think she hit all the points for me. I'm satisfied.
Yeah, I think this was amazing. I'm very pleased that that you graced us with your time to come on this morning and just kind of discuss your story. And I'm really impressed, and I'm very happy to hear how you've done things. And I wish you nothing but success moving forward. And thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you, Philip. This has been amazing, Marcus. I appreciate the invitation. Like, I love to share, and I'm just excited for what's next for us.
Absolutely.
Marcus, you want to take us out?
Yeah, to all our listeners, thank you for tapping in. This is the Director's Cut on Trade, and we out.
Have a good one, everyone.
Take care.